Hello my friends, hello and welcome back to my channel. It is Carrie from Coffee and Crafts, and today I thought we could work on the Symphony of Cute Animals, and boy are they cute. If you have not picked up this book, you are missing out. It's only $10 on Amazon, you guys. What are you waiting for? All right, so today we are also going to be using our pastel pencils to create a background on one of our pages. Now I know what you're saying. Carrie, everybody uses soft pastels, don't you know? The big fat sticks or the pan pastels in the powder. Well, not everybody, because I'm not. And maybe you aren't. So I already owned this set of pastel pencils, so it's not costing me anything, so I thought it would be fun to try them. Also, they're not as messy. They're kind of a medium experience. I'm trying to think of the right word. A medium experience. You've got your colored pencils, which take forever. Then come pastel pencils, which is kind of in the middle. And then your soft pastels are gonna take the least amount of time. All right, so let's get into this, you guys. So here is the coloring book. Now, on the channel, I did show this little froggy, and I did use pastel in it. So I know that even though this paper is smoother than a Joanna Basford, but has a slight amount of tooth, that it will be okay with the pastel pencils, because that's what I did here with the purple. And it looks nice. I think it looks nice. All right, so the page that we are going to work on today is this one with the little fox. So this picture, it's kind of busy, don't you think? You got flowers, you got the wolf, you got trees, you got mountains. I think this is a river running through here. Let me know what you guys think. These pages, some of them are really tough to interpret. Like, I'm looking at the okay, so I know this is grass. I know this is mountains. I know there's more mountains behind it. And I can see that there's a tree here, but then the graphics kind of end. So I think this is tree, and then the sky is right here. But it's kind of open to interpretation. You could say that, you know, that there is some sky right here. That's totally up to you. So yeah, so we're just gonna not stress about it. It doesn't have to be, there's no wrong way. What I'm trying to say is there's no wrong way to do it. It's whatever your eye sees, it's your world, whatever you want to do is fine. Okay, so what are we gonna do? Well, I've picked out 4 colors of pastel pencils, and if you have a set of these too, I'll let you know what numbers I picked. So a dark and a light blue, 149 and 140. Now I'm pretty sure you can go online and find out the actual colors of these, but they are not printed on the pencils. All right, and for the dark and light green, I have 165 and 170. All right, so that's the color of the pencils. What do we need to know before we start with these pencils? Well, there are a few different methods. I'm only going to use one method. So I'm going to color directly onto the page. And there's a few things you can use. You can, after you colored on the page, you can use some Q-tips. You could use some Q-tips. to blend it out. You could use one of these tortillion paper blenders. I have one from Stadler, also called a paper stump. Now, if you do use it and you change colors, one thing that can come in handy is one of these guys. It's kind of a drafting tool, but it can be used. And when there's color, then you just kind of sand it off, and it's like sharpening the paper stump. You could also use one of these circular white cotton pads, and it's pretty big. So how I've seen people use them is they kind of fold it over their finger, flip it down, then take your middle finger and hold it there, and then you can just rub it in. So those are the things that I'm using today. I can't think of anything else. If I think of something else, we'll talk about it. Okay, so what's next? Anything else we need to know? Let me think. It's not as messy as soft pastels, which is a pro. But there is a little bit of messiness, so just keep that in mind. If you're working on a table that's very precious and dear to you, you might want to have something underneath. I have this mat down that, I mean, you guys have seen. This is Coffee and Crafts, right? I've got all kinds of coffee stains all over it. It's kind of a mess. So I don't really care about it. All right. So another thing to think about is, are you left-handed or are you right-handed? So if you're right-handed, you're going to want to work from the left over to the right. And that is so that you're not putting smudges on it with your hand. You could also use a piece of paper and lay it down underneath your hand if you're worried about it. So why do I want to do the background first? Well, I've heard a lot of YouTubers say that when you have a really busy page like this, that a good way to start is to do a background, and then the details kind of pop up. And I found that to be true. I will give you a sneak peek of something I've been working on. This fish page. So I've done the background and I've colored in some leaves, and now the fish really pop out. You can really see where the fish are, and it's easier to decide how to color them. And we'll talk about that page later. Another video. All right, so are we ready to get started? The other thing to keep in mind too is don't stress too much if it smudges outside of the lines. You can erase pastel pencil, which is another pro. Really the only con would be they're not as smooth and soft and blended as a soft pastel. So if you want a really blended, striking background, then soft pastels might be better. And I think something like this, where you have a huge area of background, that might be a time when you use soft pastels, or maybe some watercolor, or colored pencils even. But that's your choice. But I think a good place to start is somewhere where the background has small pieces to it. All right, so let's zoom in. I am right-handed. I don't know if you've noticed, but let's zoom in. Just bear with me here for a second. I can get the upper right corner zoomed in. You can also rotate the book if the reach bothers you. So we're going to zoom in as far as we can. Okay. And look on this upper right area. Okay, so the interpretation of the illustration sometimes can be tricky, I think, but there's no wrong way to do it, right? That's what we established before, is that there's no wrong way to do this. It's however you want to do it. And the more you practice, the better you get at it. So don't stress about the perfect color, the perfect technique, the perfect background, or what things should be. Try not to. Give yourself permission to mess up your coloring book, especially if you're a beginner. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't grow, because I think that's part of the fun, is seeing yourself do better and better, right? But give yourself permission to mess it up, because that's how you learn. All right, so I think that this little piece right here is sky. And then we've got green tree here. And I think probably there's a big tree behind this. You've got this marking of tree right here, and then you lose some illustration. So it's kind of up to you. Do you think that's sky or back there, or do you think that's tree? You might have to just kind of decide what it is. Now this here is sky, and then we've got mountain, 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 and then grass, and then grass. So those are kind of the elements. I've decided this little corner in the piece here, I think that's pretty clear that it is sky. So we're going to take our lightest color of blue. We're going to hydrate, because we've been talking. We want to make sure our pencil is nice and sharp. So I've got a nice sharp pencil. And incidentally, these do work in my Staedtler sharpener, my favorite one. You could also use sandpaper or a knife to sharpen them. The real artists, the real pastel artists, the ones that sell stuff, they use a knife. They use one of these, you guys. they whip this out and they whittle it away. And you do save some of the wood, the lead that way, but yeah. That's not me. Okay, let's get started here. All right, so how do we want to do this? All right, so I find if you scratch too hard, then you'll have some marks that you can't blend out later. I've found that the best way to do this is to make small, light, circular motion, and don't grip your pencil. Okay, if you want it to be darker, then put more layers on. Okay, so we're gonna start in the corner, and I kind of dislike how some of these artists are just doing tiny circles. Don't get in a hurry. Don't be in a hurry when you're doing your coloring. Part of it is relaxing, self-care. I was watching someone who, she joined my channel, which if anybody else would like to subscribe to my channel so they see all the content, that would be awesome. But I checked out her channel and I loved something that she said. She said that she's not trying to become a big fabulous artist. She's doing it for self-care, and that's okay. I do find that I enjoy something more if I can grow from it and get better at it. I've done other hobbies, and after I've mastered it, I kind of lost my joy for it. All right, so even though this is the light blue, that's looking dark, isn't it? It's got some nice color to it. I think this is probably blue too. So we're just coloring like it's a colored pencil, but we're going in small circular motion. And we're deciding this is sky. And it doesn't have to be perfect either. You know, if you go over the line, that's okay. You can erase. I think I mentioned that you can erase too. And we could demonstrate that. Okay, I did have some powder, and so I just blew it away, like you would when you're erasing. Now, one tip I did see that's probably a good tip is if that's not dark enough, don't blend it and then add another layer. Add another layer now. Get your pigment down on the paper now. And then if you have little remnants, you can just blow. You could blow it off, or if you had a little brush, you could brush it off too. Okay, so we got some blue down. So let's demonstrate blending. You could wait till you are all done and then blend, or you can blend now. So I'm not sure what color I use. So I'm going to use a clean Q-tip, especially since this is a small area. And I know they make some Q-tips in a pointed, more pointed shape. I need to pick some of those up. I should put it on my wish list. By the way, I have a wish list now, and I have already received some gifts from that, and so I really appreciate that. It encourages me to keep the channel going. So I'm just pushing this down into the paper, and you might get a little bit of smudging, but this is just to seal it into the paper. Push it down so that it doesn't come right off when you touch it. And it is lighter, as you can see, but it's softening it. It's blending it out. So it definitely lightens up when you go to blend it. So if you put it down and you're like, oh man, that's way too dark, don't worry. So I missed this piece here. So we'll go ahead and blend. And I'm using number 140, my lighter blue. I wish they had a full set of colors for their pastels, but there's a lot of other options for pastels too. There's other brands. You can use a different brand. I just like the Faber-Castell brand. Pretty much anything Faber-Castell I like. But of course, those are the most expensive ones. All right, so what do you guys think about that? It's soft. It looks like pastel. Yeah, it's smudged, but we're gonna go over it. And this will be mixed media, so we can cover up anything that we don't like. But yeah, I mean, that looks really soft to me. And it wasn't near as messy as the soft pastels. All right, let's continue on. So we could do some of the tree. I'm trying to work from left to right, so that's what we should do. We want to work the tree. So the tree's going to be this dark green. It's 165. And we're gonna start the top left here, and we're just making small little circles just like before. Don't get into, I think where it doesn't look good is when you get in a hurry and you start making big circles. Or if you do straight lines, I don't think that looks good either. And you could go over it twice if you want it to be nice and dark. So that's what I'm doing here. Just making sure there's plenty of pigment. On here. Now if you wanted to really do a lot of layers and shading with pastel pencils, I would not recommend this book. I would recommend using a book that that has some tooth to it, like a Joanna Basford or something similar to that. All right, so I'm getting a new Q-tip because I don't want my blue to get on my green. So we're saving that Q-tip we used, but we're just using this clean Q-tip, and this will now become our dark green tip. And as you can see, it's not very dark, but you can come back with colored pencil, what else? Ink, pen, gel pens to make it darker. Or you could try doing another layer of pastel pencil. Now, backgrounds are either really dark or really light. And this one is going to be light since it's a pastel. Pastel's kind of, that's what it is, right? Pastels are light. Okay, so that gives you an idea of what the tree is looking like. So I'll go ahead and work through this tree. Okay, so that's a pretty good start to our background. We've got some green trees and it's blended out pretty nicely. Green trees and a little bit of sky. In here, I feel like maybe I misinterpreted the blue, but it looks okay. And I could erase some and put a little bit of green in there, but I think it looks good. And then in this area here, I used shavings and blended that to give it more of a softer look. And that's something you could do for the whole thing. You could just use shavings and then a Q-tip and blend it out. But I'm doing kind of a mixture of the two. I think I need another shade of green here for these mountains that are close to us. Maybe something in between the trees and the furthest mountains. Or maybe I need to make these mountains darker. I'll have to think on that. I hope you enjoyed this demonstration of how to do a background with pastel pencils and that you try it at home. If you liked the video, please like the video. If you would like to see more content, please subscribe, hit that bell, comment, and as always, happy coloring!